Okay, so now we look at this malaria. Malaria actually caused by 4 species of Protoctis plasmodium. Okay, highlight. You need to know at least this word, plasmodium. Okay, so these 4 species, they are falciparum, Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium ovale, and Plasmodium malariae. At least you know one. Now, why we highlight this P. falciparum or Plasmodium falciparum? Because it is the most dangerous one. Okay, we have it causes more side effect. Okay, than others. Okay, so now what is being Protoctis? Protoctis actually they are eukaryotic cell. So as what I said previously, okay, so under domain, we have 3 domains. Okay, one domain is known as bacterial. Another domain is called archaean. Archaea and also eukaryote. Okay, so under eukarya, we have 4 of them. So as I say that, it can be a fungus under fungi, it can be plant under plantae, and animal under animalia. Okay, so another group is called Protoctista. So any organism that falls into this group of member is called Protoctis. Okay, Protoctis. Okay, so means that these Protoctis, they are not fungus, they're not plantae, they are not plant, they are not animal. We put in this group called Protoctista. So we're going to learn this one in detail when we come to E2 topics. Okay. Now, but this Protoctis plasmodium won't directly infect a person. They must go through this highlight in the exam. You need to answer female Anopheles mosquito. It cannot be male. It cannot be any other mosquito, like for example, Aedes mosquito. Cannot. It must be Anopheles. And when you write Anopheles, make sure you underline it. Okay? Because it's the species, okay, or not a species, it's a genus of mosquito. So we call it as a vector. Okay, of malaria. So it transmits the disease when it passes the infective stage of the plasmodium into the uninfected person. Okay? Malaria may also be transmitted through the blood transfusion or unsterile needle are used, but nowadays very, very rare because we do screen the blood. Plasmodium can also cross the placenta from mother to fetus, but again, not that frequent. Okay, but the most frequent way is through the female Anopheles mosquito. When this female Anopheles mosquito take the blood meal, okay, so from the infected person, you will take together with these pathogens, okay, the plasmodium. So if you look at the life cycle, now do not need to remember. Just need to know that we have 3 stages of the life cycle. 3 stages. One stage is in the mosquito. Write down. The first one in the mosquito. Okay. Second one in the liver. Third one in the RBC. Okay. I use different color. Okay. First one in mosquito. Just need to understand this. Okay. Second one in the liver. Third one in red blood cell. Okay. So what actually happened? I will discuss. Sorry. I will discuss in detail here, but later I will tell you guys more. Okay. What call this? More summarized one. Okay. So first of all, now look at this. The mosquito. This mosquito contain the infective stage. We call it infective stage. So when they take the blood meal, okay, now mosquito want to continue to enjoy the blood. When they continue to enjoy the blood, what they do, they're going to release one of the chemical called anticoagulants. Anticoagulants, so make sure that our blood won't clot. Are you clear? So anticoagulant. So when they release anticoagulants, at the same time, they release this infective stage into our blood, and very quickly, this infective state going to invade into our liver cell. So in the liver cells, they will develop into schizon, and these schizons will continue to multiply inside the liver cell. You can see that the schizon inside the liver cells continue to multiply and multiply, and one day you can see that they rupture. So release this schizon. So these schizons going to later, you're going to do what? They're going to infect our red blood cell. So in the red blood cell, what they do? Now, they either continue to multiply by mitosis and cell divisions because they are eukaryotic cells, so continue to multiply and infect more red blood cells, or they will enter into a cycle to form gametocyte. So it means that they can form male gametes and female gametes. So now your blood contain male gametes and female gametes. When the mosquito come and take the blood meal again, they're going to bring these gametes into their gastrointestinal tract. Yeah. So in the gastrointestinal tract, these gametes will fuse together and then form a matrix ookinete, and then from oocyst, again rupture again, it will go into the salivary glands of the mosquito. So therefore, again, the cycle repeat. So now you can see that when you involve the vector, involve many stages, and each stage they have their own surface antigen. So making vaccination actually difficult. Okay, so do not need to memorize. Okay, so the malaria parasite life cycle involves two hosts. Okay, during the blood meal, the malaria infected female Anopheles mosquito. Highlight this. Okay, what they do? They inoculate the sporozoites. So in our syllabus, we call it infective stage into the human host. So the sporozoid infect the liver cell first, mature into the schizon, which rupture and release merozoite. Okay, but no need to worry. Those I didn't highlight, no need to worry. So in PVVAX or a dormant stage known as hypnozoite can persist in the liver and cause a relapse by invading the bloodstream weeks or even years later with the dormant. So after this initial replication in the liver or exo means outside, erythrocytic schizone. So the parasite undergo asexual multiplication in the erythrocytes. Now, can you see that? Okay. So this merozoite infect the red blood cells. Sorry. Infect red blood cells. The ring stage of trophozoite mature into schizon and rupture release the merozoite again. So some parasites differentiate into the sexual erythrocytic stage where they form gametocyte. Okay. So the blood stage parasites are responsible for the clinical manifestations of the disease because it breaks the blood cell. So anemia is one of the symptom. So the gametocyte, either female or male, are ingested by the female Anopheles mosquito during blood meal. So the parasite now multiply in the mosquito is known as a sporogenic cycle. While in the mosquito stomach, the fertilization takes place, forming zygote. So the zygote in turn become motile and elongated, which invade the midgut wall of the mosquito. So they develop into the oocyst. The oocyst now grow, rupture, and release sporozoite again, which make their way to the salivary glands. Okay, so when mosquito feed again, she inject the anticoagulant to stop from clotting, and at the same time, this infective stage now enter into the human's blood together with the anticoagulant in the saliva. Okay, so now why I give you guys a full story here, because in the CIE, they do award the mark when they use the word schizon, merozoite, but that one is not important. Okay, so let me summarize for you guys what you need to write if the question asks about this. But trust me, no question will ask you to talk about the life cycle. Stage 1, involve liver. So first, female. Okay, Anopheles mosquito. involved first. So what happened to her? So female, so they take the blood meal. So when they take the blood meal, they release anticoagulant. So when they release anticoagulant, so they release also the infective stage of the parasite of Plasmodium. Okay, so this Plasmodium, what this Plasmodium do? Plasmodium will invade, okay, liver cell. So inside liver cells, what do you do? Plasmodium invades and multiply. Okay, so what happened? Liver cell rupture. When liver cell rupture, release more Plasmodium. Okay, this involves stage 1 in the liver. Stage 2. Involve the RBC red blood cell. So stage 2, what actually happened? So one releases more Plasmodium. So this Plasmodium invade red blood cell. Okay, so invade, what do you do? They carry out the mitosis or multiply and cell division. Some of them enter into some of them form gametes. So either male or female gametes. Okay, so now next, stage number 3. It is very simple, you need to write. Okay, stage 3. The female Anopheles mosquito. So what happened? 1, when take the blood meal. So this blood contains the male and female gamete. Okay, so fertilization takes place. And then zoozygote is formed and grow. So then this ookinase, okay, ookinase, so move to this Plasmodium, like grow to form infective stage again. Plasmodium. Okay. So what happened next? So this Plasmodium migrate to the salivary glands of the mosquito. So then the cycle repeat again. Okay? So this is the, even you can write this is good enough already. Okay, summary here. So first stage in the liver. So female Anopheles mosquito take the blood meal, release anticoagulants, release the infective stage of the Plasmodium. So Plasmodium invade the liver cells and multiply. So liver cell rupture, release more Plasmodium. So this Plasmodium invade RBC, so they continue to carry out mitosis and cell division, and then some of them form the gametes, male and female gametes. So when this female Anopheles mosquito take the blood meal again, it will take together with the gametes. Fertilization take place in the gamete, in the gastrointestinal tract. So zygote is formed and grow to form an infective stage of Plasmodium, and this Plasmodium now migrate to the salivary glands of the mosquito and stand by there, waiting for the next round of the infections. Okay, so you can take the photo of this. But again, it's not that important. Even you can't remember, it's okay. no problem. Okay, but what I want to say here is because it involves liver, RBC, okay, it involves the liver and RBC, so means that at different stage, so they have different cells or surface antigen because they grow different stage, right? So means that you try to imagine that like human, you have the baby, then you have the teenagers, then we grow to the adult, and then we go to the old. So different surface, appearance. So same goes to this plasmodium. They have different stages, so different cell surface antigen. So making it difficult for us to develop the vaccine. Okay. Okay, so how we know? We just take the blood, okay, do a blood smear and we stain. You can see forming a ring structure. So ring structure, then we know that you can see the ring is a plasmodium. So in fact, with plasmodium falciparum particularly, if you look at this, then we know that it must be plasmodium falciparum. Okay, so if the people continue to reinfect by a different strain of malaria, they become immune. Then because 4, right? So you become immune. But normally it won't happen. It only happen if you survive the first 5 years of the life. Okay. So epidemic in a place where malaria is not endemic can be very severe. Epidemic means a sudden outbreak. Okay, because malaria is more dangerous in those areas where only occur during and after the raining season. Why? Because of the mosquito. So this often coincides with the time maximum agricultural activity. So this is disastrous effects onto the economics, and the people cannot cultivate the lands when they are sick. Okay? So again, we need to know the pathogen, method of transmissions, and where is the site of infections. Okay? So you can go to the brain, but generally liver and red blood cell. So this is much more important, preventing malaria. So there are 3 main ways to control malaria. First, we want to reduce the number of mosquito. We want to avoid being bitten by mosquito, and we use the drug to prevent the parasites from infecting people. So these 2 actually targets mosquito. Okay, so how to reduce number of mosquito? Then we can either use insecticide or we can use the biological control. Okay, in some ponds, irrigation or drainage, we have the permanent body of water, so we can actually use this bacteria called Bacillus thuringiensis, which can kill the mosquito larvae. Okay, now sometimes we may not be able to control the number of mosquito, but what we can do this: avoid being bitten by mosquito. So, for example, we sleep beneath the mosquito net and use the insect repellents. Okay, and then this mosquito net, that is particularly, it's look ugly, definitely. You try to imagine that on your bed, you had this, okay, you had this mosquito net, right? But against this mosquito net can help us to avoid being bitten. Okay, we don't expose skins, okay, particularly when we know the mosquito are very active at the particular times, okay? So what is the treatment for malaria? So for treatment of malaria, we use the anti-malaria drug, for example, quinines and chloroquines. Okay, so they also use as a prophylactic. Now, what is prophylactic? Prophylactic basically means that you take it before you get a disease. Okay, so for example, you need to go to the particular country with high malaria case because we don't have vaccination for malaria. So therefore, we take the drug for prophylactic. Okay, so we stop the infection occurring if a person bitten by an infected mosquito. Okay, so chloroquine, what's the function? Chloroquine function is to inhibit the protein synthesis, prevent parasite from spreading within the body. Okay, another type of drugs, a prophylactic drug is called proguanil. Proguanil actually have advantage of inhibiting the sexual reproduction of the plasmodium inside the biting mosquito. So it means that we stop. Okay, because we use these anti-malaria drugs widely used, so some strands of drug-resistant plasmodium already developed. So it means the drug no longer effective. Okay, so we use the newer drugs. For example, they use the mefloquines, but it's very expensive and the side effects very unpleasant. Sometimes, even though we know that malaria is caused by plasmodium, which is the eukaryotic cells, but some treatment also involve the antibiotics. Okay, So people from non-malaria country visiting many parts of the tropics are get the reason because they don't have the malaria. So for example, if you go to European country, they be misdiagnosed because they don't usually see the malaria cases in European country. Okay, so how about worldwide control of malaria? So first, why we need to have the problem and concern over this the spread of malaria? Because increasing of the drug resistant form. The more this drug resistant form occur, means that you can see that. Okay, you can see that difficult for us to actually kill the plasmodium nowadays. Why? Because the drug resistant, the drug that we use cannot kill them. Okay, an increase in proportion of case caused by P. falciparum we call severe or fatal malaria. Okay, P. falciparum, difficulty in developing vaccine. So far, we don't have a very effective vaccine. An increased number of epidemics because of the climatic and environmental changes. So, for example, as I say that the climate, the place for the mosquito to live is a tropical country. But now, because of climate change, global warming, you can see that this mosquito start to adapt to the subtropical regions, right? Or even some countries usually they don't have this malaria. Now we have the epidemics of the malaria. Epidemics basically means that sudden outbreak. And also the migration of people area where malaria is endemic for economic and political reason, they migrate to the different country and they start to form the new what I call the epidemics there. So in terms of 1950, we started this eradication program, but generally not successful because plasmodium become resistant to the drug and mosquito also resistant to DDT or insecticide. So first, we want to kill plasmodium, cannot resistant to the drug. We want to kill mosquito, mosquito resistant to DDT. Okay. So other factor also, you can see the agriculture in Southeast Asia. Some villagers become angry because of the chemical we use kill the parasitic wasps that actually control the caterpillar. You try to imagine you kill the wasps. When you kill the wasps, caterpillar survive. Caterpillar actually going to destroy the plantation. So some spray team was set upon and killed by angry villagers. Okay, the war and civil means the unrest destroy the infrastructure. So no hospital. People living in area with malaria are temporarily eradicated by the program, lost their immunity. And when the disease come back, they have very severe illness. Okay. Now, malaria vaccine. So there's no effective vaccine. Why? Because they're eukaryotic cells. They have many more genes compared to the bacteria. So they can have many hundred and even thousand antigen on their surface. So which one we want to choose? Next, plasmodium pass through the 3 stages in the life cycle. In the human host, each stage will have their own specific antigen. So means that effective vaccine will have to contain antigen to all 3 stages, and it's very, very difficult. The protection only works if the immune system could give effective response in a short period of time between the mosquito bite and the infections of the liver cells. So now try to imagine, you do have the vaccinated, let's say. You do have the memory B cells, but memory cell will take 1 or 2 days to be activated. So it means that when the memory B cells start to be activated, those pathogens where them, they enter into liver cells already useless. So immune system also cannot kill them because the plasmodium evade the attack by living inside the cells, antigen concealment. You see that? So therefore, they are protected against the antibody in the blood plasma. And again, they involve the vector. Female Anopheles mosquito involved in the transmission disease. Impossible to vaccinate the mosquito. How to vaccinate? So many of them. How to vaccinate? And mosquito are unable to produce antibody because they don't have the immune system. You can see that. So as long involved vector, it's very, very difficult to develop a good or very effective vaccine. Okay. So with this, I'm done for the malaria.